Well, this is Andrew from BetterNetworker.com, and I'm here with Better Networker instructor Andrew Cass. What's up, man?
Good to be here. How are you?
How you doing? You just got off stage?
Just literally walked off stage at the No Excuses 2 Summit. Did my talk on productivity triggers, which I think is the reason I developed this course is because I think our industry right now is going through this massive overwhelm period where people have so much great information coming at them, but I think they just get stuck not knowing what to implement or how to implement it. So I wanted to sort of create a solution for that issue. I haven't seen our industry come out with a really sound productivity time management course that's designed for network marketers who are faced with all we're faced with, and this is a solution.
Can you give us a little taste? I know you, from stage, you spoke about a couple of techniques.
Is to first and foremost help people break free from what I call the time management myth. We all think that we can manage time, but we really can't manage time. We can only manage ourselves in time, right? So that's like a huge mind shift. Once you make that mind shift, then I show people how to get a better handle of their environment, because oftentimes we work in such a messy, cluttered, distraction-opened environment where everything's coming in. We have email coming into the same place, family members, instant message, cell phones, Blackberries, Blueberries, iPhones, whatever, all coming at us, and we never can really get engaged. And what that does is it kills our creativity. And the cornerstone of my CD program is that time is money is only half true. Creativity is real money. And if your creativity gets sapped by all the distractions in a poor environment, guess what? You can never create, and you can never produce, and you'll never really be successful. So I really help people get back what I consider their productivity strength zone. I got that from Marcus Buckingham, who wrote Now Discover Your Strengths, where he uses the term strength zones as your personal strengths. Maybe you're a great speaker, maybe you're a great writer, but I use it in the form of productivity, where it's your productivity strength zone, where you find the best working environment for you so that you can be productive, creative, and successful. And that is usually a big wake-up call for a lot of network marketers, and they're excited about this. I have testimonials that pour in literally, Andrew, all over the world. Because of this work that I've done, and I'm looking to take this message on the road and speak at big network marketing events, company events, private training events, because like I said, it's the missing link right now. Nice. So it's good.
So, I was hearing you talk from stage about, being very regimented with the times of day in which you engage your email and engage distractions and things. You want to talk just a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I call that revenue producing activities first. Did you see when I asked the audience, how many of you really, really, really do your revenue producing, your highest leverage activities first in the morning? And like 10 hands went up. There's like 700 people out there. So what a lot of people do is they go right into reactive mode every day. First thing they do is they check their email, then they check their voicemails, then they get an instant message, then they have their phone right next to them, and they're making phone calls and doing instant message, and just the sound of that is chaotic, right? My philosophies are to put all that aside. Focus on your number one or your number two revenue producing activity for that week first. First thing you do, maybe it's your first 2 hours, maybe it's your first 3 hours, and then let the rest of the day be a little bit more open for distractions, but work in your productivity strength zone right away, first thing in the morning when you're fresh and focused. And that usually is a life-changing move, behavioral move for a lot of people, and a game changer in their business.
I believe that. I've noticed just personally, I'm more on the ball in the morning, but I will ruin that if I get too distracted, too engaged in
It's human nature.
Things.
It's human. Life gets in the way. And listen, at the end of the day, there will come days where it gets ruined. I use this funny analogy, like it's like an alcoholic who falls off the wagon. Is that right? Does he fall off or get on the wagon? He falls off the wagon, right? Hey, if you fall off the wagon one day, no big deal. You just get back on the next day, because there will be days where it gets all screwed up. But you don't get emotional about it. You don't hold yourself in a bad space for it. You just, if that was Tuesday, get back on track Wednesday and get back into it. And if you keep consistent with that, and I always, if you heard me recommend from stage to track this and journal this and keep track of yourself, like a personal trainer would keep track of your workouts, keep track of how you work. We don't connect that. We think that you can only keep track of a physical activity at the gym, but I tell you to treat it like the gym and treat your day like it's a workout, because it really is. And keep track and journal it. And if you screw up one day, get back on track the next day. And then at the end of the week, you know what happens, Andrew? You can look at where you went wrong and where you had a success or a victory. And I piggybacked off that with saying, celebrate your victories. If you have a great week where you hit all your revenue-producing benchmarks, take yourself out to dinner. Go get a massage. Have a date with your spouse. Find a reward system in your life that allows you to schedule those pleasures and reward productive activity, because we're our own bosses. And if we don't treat ourselves like employees, we just kind of fall in the rut. And things can get stale and stagnant. And these little systems that I help people put in place, it makes the business fun again. It makes your day-to-day not feel like it's just one big overwhelming mess, and that can happen easily, as you know.
Totally. One thing I like too about your speech is you talked about things that aren't necessarily related to business itself, that relate to productivity.
Oh, you're digging deep now. You're digging deep now. I talked about health, and I threw like a pattern interrupt at the audience today where I said physical, I think I put up on the slide, physical activity or physical, I said let's get physical. And the reason I put physical up there is because I've never met anybody who's highly successful or very productive that doesn't have some sort of fitness regimen. They don't need to be 2 hours a day, 6 days a week at the gym. They don't need to be an NFL-style training. They don't need to be a Mr. Olympia. They need to just be aware and cognizant of at least a couple days a week. I need to spend a half an hour or an hour making myself physically strong, because physical activity leads to sustained productivity. That's what I said from stage. Physical activity leads to sustained productivity. So I've never met anybody who's really gone the distance that didn't have some sort of physical regimen in their life. And do you remember that character test that I gave? I have this really controversial character test that I did around this. And when I look at somebody that I may do business with and that I may do a partnership with, an important relationship that may take place in business, first thing I look at is if they actually have some sort of a physical regimen in their life. And if they don't at all, and they just put into their body whatever the heck they want, you know what I know? If that person's neglecting their $1 million body, what do you think they'll do to their business? Right? If you neglect yourself, what else are you neglecting? It's like a snowball effect. So that's like my little physical activity character regimen that I threw out there today as well. So it's really important. It's the glue that holds it together. You can get away with it a long time. I've seen people get really overweight and never work out and be really successful 10 years, 15, 20 years, but the body's very resilient. It has a way of catching up, though. And all of a sudden, diabetes can set in, cancer can set in, cardiovascular diseases, heart diseases will set in. And then guess what happens? If you don't have your health, you could never produce, and you could never go the distance in business. So that's like my physical disclaimer when it comes to productivity.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about, when you were getting started in the industry, like what that experience was like, how hard you've come essentially from the early days? Yeah,
I think a big reason why I put this program together was because when I made the transition from corporate America, I was in financial services and worked in the Wall Street arena for a long time, and I eventually left the industry to work from home and be an internet marketer and have an online business. And that first year, I was like a mess. I was like, man, I don't have any place to be. I don't have to wear a suit. I don't have to show up on time. That's cool. So I was like, this is neat. I'm my own boss. But I forgot to realize I'm also my own employee. And what I found throughout all my mistakes I made and through all the research I've done is people love being their own boss, but they don't act like their own boss. And they get really, really caught behind the 8 ball of falling into a very unproductive, unstructured day. And when I realized that, and I started studying a lot of really successful people like Dan Kennedy or Donald Trump or Eben Pagan, Brian Tracy, these guys spoke about the importance of having a regimen, like you said earlier, having systems and having certain behavioral habits that you put in place that are will help you make the shift, because it's a hard shift from going from being an employee to being an employer of yourself as your own employee. So that was hard, and it took me about a year to do it, and I did it, and now I'm speaking about it, and it was very difficult. And I didn't know, Andrew, at the time, if I would make it, seriously, as a home business owner, as somebody who could work for myself, because I just thought I needed to show up somewhere every day. It's like that personal accountability thing. We all need it. But the real high achiever who makes it working from home sets it up and treats himself like he's his own employee.
Excellent.
Big mindset shift, right? People don't like hearing that, but it's powerful.